And then he goes over a couple of things that I really like. In verse 24, he says, "No man can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon." This is such a true principle. We all have within us a values hierarchy. And we may know that consciously, or we may have that subconsciously. But when things come up around us where we have to make decisions or we have to act things out, it's going to be based on our values, on the hierarchy that we have set. And if we have God up at the very top all the time, then everything else seems to fall into place. We can have something really important second and something really important third. And those things can work. But if we try and bring one of those second or third things up, even with God, and try and work with those both as the most important things in our life, it doesn't work, because eventually the hierarchy says one will be more important than the other, because eventually you're going to have decisions, and eventually you're going to have to choose one over the other, maybe in a specific circumstance, maybe in several circumstances, or maybe in a way of being. But you're going to have a choice. And there is a psychology behind this, studies behind this, that show that when you have certain values and things you focus on, then that's what determines your life, whatever is at the top, the very top value. So you could have other ideologies, political ideologies. You could have vices that become more important to you. You could even have certain relationships that are not as important as your relationship with God. And as you try and keep those straight, if you don't have God at the high end of that values hierarchy, then everything else starts to fall apart. And then in verse 25, there's a transition, something that's tied to this idea of not serving two masters. And that is, take no thought for your life. So that's what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, or anything else. In other words, I think that what he's saying here is all of those temporal things will be okay. They'll all fall into place if you have the heavenly things at the top. Just worry about that. If you focus on that first, then all of the temporal things will fall into place. You don't need to worry about it. And then at the end of chapter 6, he says something very similar again. And he says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God." So it's God and the kingdom of God, the ordinances, the temple, the fullness of the gospel, the heavenly things, and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So again, put that at the top of your values hierarchy, and all these other things will come to you. In verse 34, right after that, another transitional phrase. It says, "Take therefore no thought for tomorrow." I don't think he means don't be prepared. But I think what he's saying is, let me read the rest of it. It says, "For the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day," so that would be today, "is the evil thereof." Well, I think what he means by the evil thereof is, look, you've got enough pressures, you have enough things you need to overcome today. And so focus on keeping God at the top of your focus, and all those things will take care of themselves. And you don't need to worry about it if you do that. You don't need to worry about your future. You don't need to worry about what's going to happen if you have things straightened out.